want to say he's seeing probably the results of his pretty lax restrictions now. But it's very concerning, Brenda, from the point of view that if you could have, let us assume that it's community spread at that volume in St. Vincent, and we understand the traffic between St. Vincent, Union Island, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and our state. It just means that Grenada now has to put on increased surveillance in those small islands as we see this matter evolve. And you know, a lot of us probably locally were hoping that when Ministry of Health or Prime Minister announced this week with the curfew, whether it be a relaxation, but if this St. Vincent thing continues to escalate, then there's a possibility our curfew may also have to remain for a longer period of time. But
I hope not. I hope not. I kind of curfew wary, but I just want to be. I just want to be responsible, though. It has to go in tandem with what is happening, as you rightfully say. If it is a case where, because we have to protect our borders at all costs. And yes, in terms of, we know if somebody's coming from Europe, they land at the airport, they may come through with a yacht. So we have tighter controls at airport, ports, marinas kind of thing. But we also have wider bays and all of that where people can just come through. And we know it's kind of porous between us and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So let's just hope that, yes, that is a consideration because it's a reality on the ground, but I hope it doesn't force us into panic and we extend curfew. Because we need, if we are going to remove it, that'd be great. But if we're not going to, I would like to think it should be later.
It should be some relaxation.
The 8 p.m.
It's early.
It has achieved what it needed to at the time. When we had the cluster and we had to just contain and be sure that we had our hands on the right thing. But now with 8 cases, imported in quarantine, I would say that's pretty contained. We just have to keep doing what we're doing. So let's see what happens later today.
I'm also focused a bit, Brenda, on the status of the vaccine, for the region, and certainly for us. I want to hear more conversation. I want to hear what's happening there. I know I've been hearing that China, for example, has is supplying a lot of the major third world countries, we call it that, developing countries, that we call it that, like Indonesia, Singapore. And the reason they're doing this is not only are they providing the vaccine, but providing the technology. Now, they provide a bulk and providing the technology for these countries to actually do the retail manufacturing. And I think that's a good thing. I also understand they have allocated $1 billion for Latin America and the Caribbean for the purchase, soft money, for the acquisition of vaccines. So that's a good thing. I know we are linked with other regional organizations, and I would like to hear more about the timing of us receiving vaccine, because I think that is the ultimate solution we're looking for, particularly as we're going to be talking tourism here today too, this morning, Brenda. That is really what's going to fix these industries to some
I think the bigger aspect on the vaccine is education. I was just listening to a radio program coming down, and a caller said, that she noticed people taking vaccine and all they're doing is getting sick, so she recommending Grenadians not to touch it.
Yeah,
as an average person. So there seemed to be a lot that we need to do from an educational standpoint.
Because there's lots of misinformation and conspiracy theories.
So that in conjunction to getting it up, making it available to us is
that's a broad, general, dangerous statement.
Yes.
You see a lot of people taking the vaccine and they get sick.
People believe this when they hear it.
So we have some work there to do as well.
As you're closer to home, though, well, not so far away, Turks and Caicos, they begin their vaccination program today. Their population start getting vaccinated.
Some of the British territories as well.
And we saw that Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, they got vaccinated on the weekend. The Brits have been very kind of, you know, talking the conspiracy bit too. But look what's happening there with the second strain, and they love their royals. So I trust that Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth taking the vaccine. It's good PR.
Our Prime Minister said he will take it as soon as it's made available.
But when I asked him last week, he did say that we are going to be exploring, because yes, we're in the COVAX, but my question was really to ascertain whether or not on our own we'll be going out to seek independent, and he did say yes, and he did mention that a robust public education and promotion program will be ensued. So
I suppose once the major leaders lead by example, it will help with the education aspect and mitigating the risk.
Absolutely. It's great to be back, to have all of us in the same room. And we would like to take a quick break at this time. When we return, we have our special guest this morning, Mr. Barry Collymore. He is the newly minted chairman of the Grenada Tourism Authority. We take a break. We'll be right back.
I'm masking for my family and friends. Who are you masking for? A message from the Ministry of Health.
Dreaming of taking a break and escaping to an idyllic, happy place? Well, finding it does not require you to go too far. You already live in paradise. All it takes is for you to go out and discover it. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique are blessed with a wide variety of accommodation that satisfy any taste and budget. Find the one that suits you and your family and treat yourself while having peace of mind that your health and safety is a priority. Knowing that we have gorgeous waterfalls, stunning beaches, and flavorful cuisine, let's be tourists in our own islands and enjoy paradise at home.
Welcome back to Perspectives. We thank all of you who are joining us this morning across the various platforms. This morning, we zoom in on tourism. Our special guest is Barry John de Collymore. Barry Collymore is a director and partner of West Indies Management Company, a company involved in hotel and tourism development in Grenada. He is also director of the Savvy Grenada Group, the company which built, owned and managed Grenada's largest marina development, Port Louis and Mount Cinnamon Hotel. Barry has served as CEO of Grenreal Property Corporation, a publicly traded company which manages the cruise ship facilities in Grenada. He has worked in a lead development role on several large projects in Grenada, including building and development of the Port Louis Marina and Marina facilities, the development and building of Mount Cinnamon Hotel, the building and development of the Royalton Grenada, Grenada's largest hotel, the restructuring of the cruise ship mall and terminal, the establishment of the Shell Cricket Academy at St. George's University, the first ever cricket academy for the West Indies cricket team. Barry has served as a senior advisor to the Prime Minister of Grenada and also as his press secretary. Barry has also worked as assistant and advisor to the Vice Chancellor of St. George's University and assistant professor at St. George's University School of Business. Barry has a master's degree in business from Loughborough University in the UK and a bachelor's degree in communications from UWI Mona. He loves films and has directed and produced a film called Footprints, featuring Grenada's road to Olympic victory, and produced For Whatever, a documentary telling the story of Grenada's revolution. He is a fitness and healthy lifestyles promoter, and his hobbies include CrossFit, tennis, filmmaking, and beekeeping. Barry is the proud father of an 11-year-old son, Zachary, and he has taken an interest in developing Montessori education in Grenada. He is also the newly appointed chairman of the Grenada Tourism Authority. It is our pleasure to welcome Barry Collymore.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
Good morning, Barry.
Good morning, and good morning to all of your viewers.
And Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
Right?
Same to you. Happy New Year to you and to Byron and to Chris.
All right.
Same to you.
Thank you.
So in an interview recently with the online publication Now Grenada, you posited, the only reason the GTA exists is to market Grenada and to develop the product. The GTA needs to be more strategic in setting realistic growth targets for tourism and meeting those targets. We can no longer operate in an environment where it is assumed that government funds are available regardless of how the product performs. Question, what or where is our market now?
The market, I think, is we have the same market. We have to rely on the traditional markets. That's very important. But what we need to do is to deepen and strengthen our marketing thrust in those markets. We need to clearly identify who the customer is. It makes no sense. We don't have the resources. It makes no sense trying to do too much scattershot marketing and marketing to people who will never visit Grenada. We need to clearly identify who the customer is, and we need to go after that customer. So the source markets are going to be very important: United States, United Kingdom, and some parts of Europe. And then I think we need to look at seriously making ourselves more attractive to regional tourism. That is I call it the one tragedy of Caribbean tourism, the death of regional tourism in the last few years. And then the bonus would be if we could get a flight from somewhere like Sao Paulo, which is only 4 hours away, which is the South American powerhouse. If we could get that, that would be the cherry on the top. But we would need to be ready for that. We're not ready for that yet. So my view is that the market is as it always was. These are the places where the flights are coming from, United States, United Kingdom, and the region. But we need to seriously intensify the way we market, and to be more direct, and to have more marketing strategies that are measurable and that can be held accountable for the money which is spent on them. You know, if you look at Grenada with its just over 1,500 rooms, and the money that, not just Grenada, but in the Caribbean, the money that we spend per room in the Caribbean, as compared, you know, there are hotels in Mexico and other parts of the world with 1,500 rooms in one hotel. Mm-hmm. When you look at the money spent in that hotel marketing to the same 1,500 rooms, you compare it to what our Caribbean destinations spend per room marketing. You know, we are way too inefficient. So the marketing has to match the performance. And you know, just because you get in a plane and fly all around the world on trips doesn't mean that you're going to get people there. So we have to find ways that work, and we have to be a lot more strategic in the way that we market, and we have to look at who the customers are. There are some ready-made audiences for Grenada that we are not tapping into, and this is what, you know, we need to look at.
Interesting. Gentlemen?
Well, I mean, I think our new chairman has a challenge in his hands, especially in the touristic market, because one of the things I would like to hear you address, Barry, through the marketing, as you have cited as a key pillar for you going forward, is how do we deal with the confidence of the average traveler in this COVID environment? There's one thing to market and spend money marketing, and there's another thing to actually get people on a plane and come to your destination, or a cruise ship for that matter, and we'll touch on that a little later. But how do we get people to get back confident that they're willing to jump on a plane, come to your destination and enjoy what you offer, especially now that we're seeing so much variance and different variants to COVID and how that dynamic is changing? So my question to you is, how would the marketing address that, and is the GTA nimble enough to adjust what it's doing in order to react to the changing environment that COVID poses?
Well, that is probably the most important question, the confidence. The number one problem that tourism faces, not just in the Caribbean, but globally, is confidence. Yeah. Travel is not a necessity. You don't have to travel. There are lots of things that you have to eat. There's agriculture. You have to. There's certain basic commodities that you will have to buy, but you do not have to travel. It is not a necessity, and you certainly don't have to put a vaccine in your arm or take any medication if you don't want to. So these are all things. The confidence is going to be very important, because, you know, travel it's something that it's a want, it's not a need. Confidence depends on us and the actions that we take now. Right. Everyone, or too many people, are looking at this thing in a very short cycle. They're worried about what happens on Wednesday, on Thursday, next week, right? What we need to be doing, and let me put a caveat here. We should be worrying about what happens tomorrow, and there's some people in such an unfortunate position that they cannot even look past the same day that they're in. So I understand that. But in terms of where we're looking, the business owners and so on, we have to ensure that we do not do things today that put long-term damage to our product. Now, everyone is talking about the curfew and the thing, and it's so inconvenient, and we can't party, and we can't. Well, you know, our grandparents and our great-grandparents were called to make much greater sacrifices than not partying. The sacrifices that they had to make is much greater than all they've asked us to do is don't party, don't gather in large groups, and wear a mask. If you can't do that for 6 months, 8 months, a year to save your society, then I don't know what. There will be other challenges that we will face in the future that we will not overcome. So that everything that we do today is very important in terms of whether or not we have confidence in our market. If we have large outbreaks of COVID in Grenada or in any part of the Caribbean, the confidence in your particular destination will not come back for a long time. If we have large percentage and large percentage-wise numbers of our already small workforce with long-term debilitating side effects and long-term chronic problems due to COVID, then your confidence will not come back, because too much of the workforce has been affected long-term by COVID. Right. And COVID presents not just, you know, you don't just, for many people, it's not a matter of just getting sick and getting over it. They are lingering, debilitating conditions that can be left in your system where you can be affected, and the science is proving that for a long time. So the confidence depends largely on all of us. The second thing that the confidence depends on is how we position and market Grenada after a vaccine, and why I say after a vaccine is because what we are doing now pretty much as we can do now in terms of quarantine and the protocols and that kind of thing. We need to make people feel that coming to Grenada, that they will be safe. And that has to be part of the message. And in this sense, being small, being boutique, and being not exposed to a land border, and having controls at your border and so on may be a plus for us, because I believe that the future of tourism is going to be, at least the immediate future, is no longer going to be mixing with strangers. It's going to be more to do with groups who have come together, staying together, and enjoying the facilities together, rather than strangers mixing.
That's a bit of a contradiction in terms of how we saw the vision, in that we were promoting more community tourism, more ecotourism, a tourism where visitors were led to integrate with the community. And what you're saying now, because of the COVID now.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there is a type of tourism where, like for instance, cruise ship tourism, which is mass, huge.
Yeah.
It is, 3,000 people on a ship. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about that as compared to a family coming together, family of however number. Yeah. They go to a hotel, they go to the restaurants with their group. Yeah. They go into the community, go to the waterfalls, the
lakes. A cluster.
And the group could be 50, 70 people.
Right? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Whenever we talk tourism here right now in this period, I reflect on the workers, I mean, the tourism sector was hit the hardest in terms of the sectors as far as COVID, the impact of the pandemic. And we know that in the earlier last year, the government was able to provide some support to the workers. Are there any consideration? Is the board thinking about the workers in terms of, depending on how long the shutdown lasts for, what type of support may be possible for them? But additionally, I want to add here that the product offerings and the airlift, these are two important components for the sector. What is happening right now with the product as far as being maintained and enhanced? And secondly, regarding the airlift, with Liet and other issues we hear in the region regarding this, what is happening? What is the situation with our airlift going forward?
Okay, let me deal with the really important question of the workers first. Yeah. This is a very serious situation. There are many people out there who are either unemployed or underemployed in the tourism sector. Yeah. There are many people who have had their, and I really want people to understand what is happening out there. There are many people in Grenada who are receiving their salary as normal, and they get it every month regardless. But look at the other side, your brother and sister, your neighbor, your aunt, your uncle, who are in the tourism sector. Many of them are not receiving a salary at all, or are receiving just what I call a stipend, a fraction of their salary. And it's one of the most troubling conditions and one of the most troubling situations that has emerged out of COVID, that people, large numbers of people, a large percentage of the workforce are either unemployed or underemployed. this is why, for instance, when we came in as a board, we took a decision to be a volunteer board, in solidarity for the workers who have been either laid off or who no longer receive enough money to make ends meet. So we decided to forego any board fees. We decided to work harder, so the board meets twice, sometimes 3 times a month, and we take no fees. So we did that because we thought that it was an important message to send. In terms of the stimulus, the GTA really is not the one that makes that determination. We certainly will support any kind of method or any kind of program that assists tourism in general, and especially the workers. So that's not on the GTA. What we have been supporting, however, is things that will make tourism more efficient and will make tourism more competitive, like the lowering of electricity rates. So this is a big game changer in the tourism industry. And so anything that we can do to make tourism more competitive, to keep more money in tourism, and by the way that money goes back into reinvestment in hotel facilities or upgrading workers' salaries and that kind of thing, we will support.
So just to go back to the confidence question,
Yeah.
lots of leaders, Caribbean leaders in particular, I guess because our markets depend so largely and tourism is really tied to our GDPs, they have been talking about rebounds. But confidence rebounds, there's a paradox there. Because once the virus continues from the source markets and then the concerns internally from us, because on the average Grenadian, you'll hear them say, well, if they had shut the borders, we wouldn't have had 1 case of COVID.
Yeah.
You know, really and truly, you know, how do we manage? What sort of actions will we see in terms of from the GTA, because the primary role is to market the destination? What sort of actions will see a successful navigation of that concern?
It's a very another really important question. The balance, the delicate balance, it's a tightrope walk, really, that's how I describe it. And you have to, you know, somebody said to me the other day that some of these protocols can cause, they said they'd rather die from COVID than starvation. Right? This is the type of tightrope walk that leaders have to, in the Caribbean, are facing. If you don't put people back to work through tourism, tourism is the largest employer and the largest earner of foreign exchange in the Caribbean by far. Even the other industries that we have in the Caribbean heavily depend on tourism, like agriculture and business in general, commerce. Starvation or COVID? Guy said, I'll pick COVID. And these are the realities that people are facing. I mean, there's no easy answer for this. How do you tell someone who is a cleaner, a shift supervisor, a cook, a chef de partie in a hotel, that you're closing the borders? That person might be the only breadwinner in the family. Family don't have any money, can't eat, right? How do you tell them that? Now, on the other hand, how do you tell someone who has no connection with tourism, who thinks, who they didn't have a carnival, they didn't get to play jab, they didn't get to party at Christmas, they didn't get to go to White in the Moonlight and everything that they used to go? How do you tell them, I've been a good girl, a good boy, and you're bringing in tourists who are, right? And then there's another question. How do you tell your grandmother in New York in Boston, in London, that it can't come home.
Yeah.
How do you do that? It is not an easy question, and it's not a question that I don't think, everyone was saying in the early days, oh, the Caribbean is doing so well, but I always caution, we just don't know. This thing continues to evolve. It is a very, very serious question. The best answer that you can give to that question is everyone has to take personal responsibility for their own being right now. If you know a man just come back from New York or wherever, this virus can incubate up to 14 days, don't go around the guy. Give the guy some distance for that 14 days. Yeah. If you don't go to parties, don't go to large gatherings now, because this virus is really tricky. It's a very, very serious virus, and the impact of it. I'm looking at what's happening in St. Vincent and Barbados and other places. It really wasn't. When you look at it, it really wasn't tourism that caused the spikes in Barbados.
No.
It was partying. Yeah. There was a big West Coast party and then a bus crawl. Right? It was not a hotel that caused it.
So call it a bus.
So every time I hear bus crawl, I laugh. Just forgive me.
Big party on a bus. It's a big party on a bus.
Yeah. They stop in various places.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. Stopping everywhere you go. Have a good time.
I like the word crawl.
So and then it involved members of the Defense Force and the prison service, who then it then was spread in the prisons.
Yeah, yesterday they reported that 32 inmates.
More inmates.
Wow.
So Barbados' numbers will reach 1,000 probably pretty soon, because they're almost 800 and something now, and it continues to climb. So, Brenda, it is. I wish I had the answer for that question, but in terms of confidence and the borders shut, it's not an automatic question that you can answer to say shut the borders, but it is something that you need to seriously consider.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. That's all I have to say.
Well, I have to make a quick decision right now to take a break, and we come back and continue the conversation. Our special guest panelist this morning, Mr. Barry Collymore. He is the chairman of the GTA. We'll be right back.
Sister, we are doing big. Much more to life than just living. This holiday season, I'm not taking any chances. I'm wearing my mask, and you should too. I'm COVID-19 smart. Are you? A message from the Ministry of Health. We are big like the will. Big like the will.
Yourself while having peace of mind that your health and safety is a priority. Knowing that we have gorgeous waterfalls, stunning beaches, and flavorful cuisine, let's be tourists in our own islands and enjoy paradise at home.
I'm masking for my family and friends. Who are you masking for? A message from the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back to Perspectives. Remember, callers, that you can call in and, of course, ask your questions or air whatever you would like to air with us. The number is 440-7171, and you will be live on with the panel. Before we took the break, we were talking about the sort of paradoxical situation with the rebounding and all of that, and the real concerns about the workers in the tourism sector. So in terms of the outlook and the thrust and the focus, domestic tourism, how big of a focus will that be for the GTA?
When you say domestic tourism, what do you mean?
I mean that, okay, so at the moment we have hotels doing like day passes, breakfast, staycations, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But what else would they be able to offer us? And there are people, and to be honest, there are people seem to be lapping that up. So what other novel things can they offer us that would make us want to buy?
Carriacou is a good example.
Carriacou, exactly.
I just wanted to be clear what you meant by that. It's you know, it's the kind of thing that keeps some level of cash flow in the hands of businesses, and I think what it is also doing is giving the local population a greater appreciation for the tourism facilities and more of an education about tourism, which is important. As Chris rightly pointed out, and I believe he's a first-hand customer, it also is helping Carriacou in some ways, which is important. But the problem with this so-called domestic tourism is that it doesn't improve your foreign exchange position, because it's really just local money circulating. And as you know, one of the main reasons for doing tourism is to improve your foreign reserves. So it doesn't, in that regard, contribute to that. However, let me say this. I believe that Grenada has a different kind of domestic tourism that we can look at, different to any other Caribbean island. And we must move swiftly to capitalize on that. We have never, ever really capitalized on the thousands of medical graduates that have passed through Grenada, had a temporary home in Grenada, and are now out there in the wider world. That's the kind of direct marketing that I'm talking about. You have thousands of SGU graduates who are out there working, and believe me, after COVID, many of them will need a holiday. And some of them are so tired with medicine by now and have seen so much death that some of them will retire. So we must find a way to create a home away from home for them. We must find a way to invite them here to have holidays and to even live, like what Barbados is doing, but not Barbados is doing it on a mass scale. We have a very ready-made, targeted audience that we can capitalize on. And we must find a way to make them welcome here. And so now at the board level, we have already been discussing this and how we do it and that kind of thing. And Chancellor Modica, who is on the, who's one of the directors on the board, he has had some ideas about how we do it. And this is one of the things that you will be seeing coming out of the GTA. We will be very much targeting SGU alumni, SGU family, the whole SGU, because Grenada, they have already come here, they like it here, they know the product, why not incentivize them to come back? The other thing is, and right after the interview, Chris and I are going to have a talk about this. The CBI...
He's finding that out now, right?
You can have that conversation now, it's okay.
Right? Because
good move.
Another ready-made audience. There are people that, to say to them, and some of them are living in cities that they hate, And they say, why not? Why not? Why wouldn't Chris give me his mailing list so we can target them?
Yeah.
And why wouldn't we target them to say, look, come on holiday, come and stay for 6 months, that kind of thing. So these are the kinds of, they're Grenadians, domestic. And also, don't forget your diaspora. Mm-hmm. Many of whom now can work away from, I know quite a few people here who are, who've come back and working from Grenada. Mm-hmm. Don't forget them. Yeah. Because they also can come in and work here. So these are the kinds of things that I believe that we need to do. And these are the kinds of targeted, ready-made audiences that I spoke about earlier that we need to look at.
Barry, I raised the issue before, but I think you got distracted. I raised the issue about the product offering. And we know what has happened. I just want to elaborate here a bit, Brenda. We know what has happened with Annandale, where it was leased and excellent development is taking place there. Mm-hmm. But as we look at other products, we look at a Grenada, we look at the forts, we look at and other facilities. What are their state of affairs? Is the authority providing the maintenance and the resource to ensure that they are enhanced and maintain the quality? Because the product is crucial.
Yeah, the product is very crucial, Byron. Yeah. And you're right, Grenada is a great example of what can be done. Sorry, not Grenada, Annandale. Annandale is a great example of what can be done with the commercialization of attractions. You have creative entrepreneurs who have gone into that venture and have really created an excellent product. You have others like Mongazo and others that, this is the direction that we need to look at, to developing the sites. And some of these sites are quite spectacular. And when you travel and you go to other countries and you look at what they have done with their sites, it's quite remarkable. And largely, it is not, when you travel and you look, it's not government running these things. It's private entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Government should facilitate the investment by creating a route and a path to investment, and then monitor that investment, so to ensure that the sites are not being degraded in any way. But yes, the sites are absolutely important. The other thing with the product that we need to look at is we need to create more amenities within the hotels and restaurants and that kind of thing. Fun things people to do. Mm-hmm. Grenada's tourism has always traditionally been the over 60 market. Mr. John Brown from Surrey, and he comes to a particular hotel and he and his wife, and they stay in the same room every year, and they have the eggs the same way, etc., etc. Now, Mr. John Brown from Surrey is now scared of COVID because he's 60, 70 years old, and he may or may not travel, and he may or may not get a vaccine. Yeah. What we have to do is to look at Mr. John Brown's daughter and son, grandchildren, who want to travel. But these are different types of travelers now. Yeah. They don't go to the same destination every year, because they're on Instagram and Facebook and everything, and they want to go somewhere new every year, and they want to take pictures and post them and that kind of thing. And it creates remarkable opportunities for countries like Grenada that are underexposed. This could become all of a sudden it's like what happened in Tulum in Mexico. Everybody's going to Tulum now, and what will happen in Costa Rica, and that kind of thing, where people see these destinations as high value targets, in that the sociologists call it the positional element. People enjoy travel not just for their experience, but for the knowledge that their friends and family can't get the experience that they got.
Right.
So it's a kind of a bragging rights. I've been to Grenada, I've been to Tulum, I've been to this place and that place.
And then they become big social media
that's the
as
point.
well.
That's
Before
the
you
point.
became the chairman of the GTA, while COVID was on, you wrote some really excellent blogs
Thank you.
on tourism. Maybe that's what spiraled you. Somebody say, Barry's a guy. To get us out of this. And one of the takeaways I had from one of your blogs were you mentioning the new traveler and activity and experiential, the experience you have, tourism, that's going to be the way. So as chairman of the GTA now, and you just talked about some of it, will that be a key element in terms of the product upgrade? These activities and these
they have
experiences.
to be. It's very, very important. And even the way that we, we have to find ways of packaging things and when this is something for all of the entrepreneurs who are venturing into tourism, you have to do it too in a way that is acceptable to the tourists, right? Not every, look, there's a very small percentage of tourists, very small, who are going to put oil on their body, right? But they might put charcoal because it's good for you, right? There may be a very small percentage of tourists who want to drive all the way up to wherever, and they may or may not be scared of driving. So we have to, some of those activities in outside of the tourist belt, we may have to recreate them inside of the tourist belt.
Or even if I drive, when I get there after 2 hours, what do I do there?
That's
I just watch the lake and drive away?
That's the point. So there's no, and that's why commercialization of the facilities is so important, because that's where we are losing with tourism. People are taking a drive, they go to look at the lake, and then big deal. But beyond that, what is happening is that they'll never go to the lake again. Because there's nothing to do. There's too many people who come here who could be repeat customers who are not repeat customers because they feel they've done it all, and they've gone to there, and that, and that's that. We have to create new experiences for them. We have to continue to innovate and add new things and whatever. And we have to. It's like show business. We have to be more theatrical in the way that we present our product, and we have to tell, look, we have wonderful storytellers here and people, creative people. One of the things that I'd like to see happen is the creation of what I call a Grenada channel, where the GTA should not be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring in a film crew from Miami or whatever to produce a 30-second or 40-second ad with music and shots, drones. That's not necessary. You have enough creative people here
on island,
who you can incentivize them to create. I'm not just talking about to tell the story of Grenada, and you put it on a channel, and then the GTA's role would be to boost it and get it out there. But we must find a way to create a path for our creative young people here. And Grenada is blessed with a large percentage-wise young population. We have to find a way of using their creativity, the singers and the writers and the videographers and the painters. All of these people can help tell the story of Grenada, and that's the kind of marketing, authentic marketing, more of that we need. Absolutely.
So let me throw a question. I want to throw 3 questions at you, unfortunately. I know every time running. The first one has to deal with and again is on the marketing stretch and the product and so on, and the issue of sandals and its impact with this whole thing that went on. And we know sandals have an extensive marketing machinery and significant influence in airlift as well. And the question on the sandals issue is, what will the GTA be doing in order to reconcile or to come to the table that we could kind of deal with that issue because of the importance it represents from a marketing point of view and from an airlift point of view? The other question I want to also throw at you is, when Byron mentioned the issue of stimulus or whatever we want to do for tourism.
Let me deal with the sandals issue, because it's so important. Sandals has created the only global Caribbean brand ever. Probably the only other global Caribbean brand is West Indies Cricket, and we all know where that is now. So sandals is vitally important, not just to Grenada, to the Caribbean. And we have to do whatever it takes to ensure that as a Caribbean collective community, and as Grenada, and as individual islands, and as individuals ourselves, to see that that global Caribbean brand is preserved. Sandals is vitally important. It creates lots of jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities for everyone, and we need to ensure that Sandals survives and survives in a way that's safe and effective and efficient for everyone.
Good. And I know the airlift part of it is significant as well.
Airlift is huge, yeah.
The other one is on the debt situation of our hotels, because a lot of our hotels are highly leveraged.
Yes.
And the issue with the fallout of the industry, the leveraging is increasing. And some of them who are still open are experiencing serious challenges with that. Would there be some consideration from the GTA's perspective or approach to government to see how we can assist, not just given what we did as stimulus and so on for the unemployment aspect, but for the survivability of the business and the debt leveraging, how we could probably come up with something that could assist them in that respect?
Chris, I'm glad you asked that question, because it's vital. And although the GTA is not the one deciding on the stimulus, we can certainly support. You see, I see the GTA as not just, marketing is the main important for the GTA, but it's also making the tourism industry in general more attractive and more efficient and more profitable and more accessible to everyone. One of the important things that we've done, and I think we were the first organization to issue a statement in support of the lowering of electricity prices. We are advocating heavily for the lowering of electricity prices, and we've been doing a lot of groundwork on this. And let me just read you quickly the results of a survey that was done by GTA. Has an excellent research department, and I asked them to do some groundwork for me, and this is one of the things that they said. They said the GTA was charged with conducting a survey to investigate the cost of electricity. The survey was sent to 91 registered licensed operators, and they got responses from 20 properties. And one of the questions asked is, what percentage of monthly expenditure goes to electricity use? And here's one line from it. During the high season, January to April, the average cost of electricity is over 50% of the property's total expenditure.
50?
Yeah. So here you see the right? And of course this will vary from property to property. But we have to advocate, we have to do whatever it takes to ensure the survivability of this industry. And high electricity costs is one of the reasons why workers' wages can't be increased, why there's been little to no reinvestment in the hotels in terms of upgrades, why there's been little to no increase in room stock in Grenada. Electricity costs has been a real burden for the tourism sector. If we can get it lowered, in parts of Latin America and USA, is 5% of room rate electricity costs. In Grenada, it's over 30% of room rate. So
as you talk about electricity, energy costs, are there consideration in industry for alternate energy, for renewable energy?
Well, one of the reasons why we have such high energy costs is that we have not gone into other cheaper, more efficient ways of generating electricity. And I've said this, we can't be pure Grenada, and all of our electricity comes from polluting diesel plants. It's just a paradox.
And doesn't it also impact sustainable travel tourism? Because if we're marketing ourselves as pure and, of course, sustainable travel, the care for the environment, and more we are finding that the new traveler is concerned about the care for the environment.
Absolutely. It is. People there's that new green traveler looking at the carbon footprint. There are people now who are not even flying across the Atlantic anymore because they worry about the carbon footprint that the aircraft are having.
So let me ask a question on cruise tourism, Barry. And what does GTA see as a revival of the cruise tourism industry, primarily from the point of view of the impact it has for brokers at a really trickle-down effect? Because you know that's the one side of the industry that trickles right down.
Yeah.
And the issue here is, what do you see as the when this industry will come back to some degree? What time frame? I mean, certainly 2021 seems to be out of the door. So what is GTA's positioning strategically for cruise? Well,
what we're doing now is examining that. And that is one of the hardest questions that anyone can ask. What will happen to the future of cruise tourism? It is a big problem, and it impacts not just you know, the people working in cruise sector, but it impacts duty-free shops. That whole duty-free industry, there's great uncertainty about this because even airports, you know, airports will become more like, you know, an Ellis Island situation where we present your vaccine cards, screening, whatever. It'll be less time for shopping because of all the screening you're going to have to go through, as happened in the past. So that cruise tourism is a hard question. What I probably guess is that you might have, there may be more focus on smaller ships with higher protocols. Right. Because even after you find a vaccine, people are still going to be very wary about intermingling to that extent.
And so they had their problems before as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So it's a hard question, and the best thing I can say, Chris, is that I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know. It's a difficult question. But if I were guessing, I would think that the way to go is to create an environment for smaller ships, create experiences for smaller ships, maybe more sailing ships, more tall ships, and create that kind of environment where they are more comfortable and try to get them here more frequently. You know, I was reading a report recently on cruise, and yes, we know the challenges in airline industries with them being out and the possibility of survivability and so on. Cruise is facing a similar thing because in recent times there were huge mega ships built to facilitate 3,000 and 5,000 guests. Now all of those are now parked. And the issue is the maintenance cost of keeping them parked has to be met somehow. And the question is how long they can last before that industry starts to see serious you know, businesses going up. You know, so
there's great uncertainty for the whole industry.
So
going forward.
I mean,
so where does that leave us as we wrap? Where does that leave us? Because it seems as if we have this measure of, you know, where we have to ensure safety, guarantee the confidence of the consumer, and the public at large too, in the destination that we want the consumer to come to, understanding the fares, and then still highlighting the safe travel directives. So where does that leave us?
No, I mean, it leaves us with tremendous opportunity to look at new markets. When I say new markets, I'm not one of those that believes that we need to go, that we are somehow about to become a big customer of China and wherever. I'm talking about within our source markets. It leaves us with the opportunity, having been seen as a safe destination, having been put on CNN's top list of places, 21 list of places to go in 2021.
I think we're the only Caribbean island.
Well, I mean, maybe so.
Yeah.
But it leaves us with tremendous opportunity. But in order for us to capitalize on that opportunity, we need to have an open-mindedness. Yes. And people and hoteliers and people in the industry need to realize that they may need to totally reposition their offerings and realize that the customer that you market to for many years may not be there anymore. And but there's a huge opportunity now, a whole new world for another customer.
So could I just wrap up with a question to Barry on that?
Yes.
Because I know I was going to ask it a different way, Barry. You know, in every crisis there is opportunity. And what does GTA see as the opportunity? And then I was quoting from a guest that we had earlier on last year that said, The only certainty for 2021 is uncertainty. That being said, though, the question is, when we market, the amount of millionaires that are being born out of the Asia-Pacific region now, they're happening at a really huge rate. Would there be a focus in the marketing to go for less but more? In other words, are we going to fill our tarmac with private jets, with people that have that kind of resource and income, that we could get that niche market to come and spend in our jurisdiction?
Very good question. We have 3 luxury hotels in Grenada: Silver Sands, Spice, and the Calabash. Very important, and what they are able to do for Grenada is they are able to get on lists and on in the type of top tier portfolios that many other islands, that create a buzz and awareness that people may not get. What the Silver Sands group is doing now is going to be extremely important, because they are now expanding that luxury portfolio into other hotels. And what we're seeing done through CBI in St. David's with the Six Senses brand, that's extremely important. So that with the creation of new luxury offerings, it gives the GTA and Grenada in general the opportunity to target the luxury market a lot more in a serious way. Because some of this luxury market, some of it is almost recession proof. In a recession, the billionaires still fly their private jets. In a recession, the billionaires still eat at the best restaurants. That coupled with the opportunities that are presented to us from ready-made markets like the CBI and SGU and even the diaspora, I think should be part of a main pillar of the GTA strategy. That luxury market is going to be very important. Of course, we have to upgrade our facilities. We need golf here. We need a lot more high-end shopping. And we need a lot more high-end restaurants. And we need people to understand that, the hoteliers to understand that just having a beach is not just enough. You need to have really happening, glitzy, glamorous facilities and amenities within your hotel that people actually talk about and want to go to.
No, in closing, I mean, my reflection has to do again with the workers, you know, and the balancing of the lives and livelihoods, and I mean, the challenges are there. The Tourism Authority has good intentions. I mean, they're limited somehow because everything is so unpredictable, you know. So I just want to wish the best here, you know, in terms of that focus on retooling if necessary, looking at it from a different perspective, and that was thinking outside of the box, so removing the box altogether.
Mashing up the box.
Because I have to put this pitch into, because when we talk tourism, we talk agriculture also, because that sector is affected because we don't have the consumption end of it, you know. So
you just made a linkage there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always been there, you know. It's quite a challenge for you in the beginning of this position. I want to wish you well in the industry.
Thank you.
We have to wish Barry well. It's a huge challenge. Huge challenge.
I wish Barry well as well. Because I think Barry is well positioned. I think Barry brings the energy that's needed. I don't know if you can probably go back and read the blogs that he wrote when we were on lockdown. I guess he had a lot of time, so his energy was going on how we reposition post-COVID, even before he became chairman of the GTA. So now that you actually get this, and I'm sure you have a great team. I saw you on your board. I mean, there's a great team of people at the GTA and the wider Grenada Hotel Association and all the other affiliates. So I wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you,
and
Brenda.
I wish you the best. And we'll be delighted to be chatting with you again. We have a more broader conversation. Probably we could bring him back with agriculture, and they can have a nice little go at it, because there need to be an understanding that they are tied like this. So thank you so much for coming and best wishes.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Byron. Thank you.
So that's been our program, our second for the year. Senator Allie, it's so great to be looking into your eyes. Yeah, last week I was looking at your bed.
You were distracted.
No, I was not distracted at all. Thank you so much, and Mr. Campbell, thank you as well. You're back to work this week?
Yes, today.
All right, holiday is over. All right. Thank you so very much, gentlemen. Our special guest panelist, Mr. Barry Collymore, the chairman of the Grenada Tourism Authority. For Nazim Benjamin, who streamed our streaming services, we thank you so very much, Nazim. Richie Oliver, our executive producer, and all the rest of our technical team. I'm Brenda Baptiste. Have a great Monday and have a great second productive week of 2021. Until next Monday, more perspectives then. See you.